For a walk, a late night walk. It is currently raining out. It's not raining too bad, but it's also really cold. Wish there was a flash or something. But yeah, decided to go for a walk. I just got done taking a shower, bit of a late shower, and better late than never, I guess. Feel nice and clean. But this is episode 4 of my mental health journey. And I was going to talk today about loneliness and how I kind of dealt with that. Where do I start? Okay. So, if you're new to this channel, if this is the first video you've seen, I would suggest watching the part 1 through 3 because it'll give you a lot more context as to what I'm talking about like my anxiety and autism and stuff, because it contributes as to, I think, why I've dealt with loneliness for so long. Geez, it's cold and rainy. So yeah, I suggest watching those videos first. But so I'll start the story, I guess, that I was a kid, and I was always fascinated with, like, over fixated with certain things. Like, for a while it was video games, and I was a real shy child when I was really young, and even in elementary school and stuff too. And usually stuck by myself because I had a really vivid imagination. I'd play pretend with myself and pretend I was like a superhero or something, and that's kind of like my own imagination kind of kept me busy, and I actually kind of preferred for the longest time to be by myself because, like, I could entertain myself, so to speak. And I think the imagination that I have as a kid, I think that's one of the major reasons why I became an artist. Just, I like the idea of being able to create worlds that doesn't actually exist, and being able to show people, because that was sort of my form of communication, because I have all these cool ideas, and worlds that I created in my head, and drawing was a way for me to this is a terrible video because there's like no light. Is there even a flash? No. Okay. Hold on. I was looking to see if it had a flash. It didn't. Flashlight, reverse flashlight. But as I was saying, it was showing my art was a way to kind of show people what was in my head and kind of bring them into my world, so to speak. So I always loved art. But I always had a really hard time making friends throughout school, like in elementary school and all that. I was always kind of the weird kid, I guess. And to me, in my mind, I seemed normal, and I couldn't understand why people avoided me and didn't want to be friends with me and stuff. And that was really hard, because I still wanted to have friends and stuff, and but I didn't really have very many as a kid. I had a few that I'd hang out with, and so that was nice, but I never had much of a social circle. And for a long time, I could never figure out why people always seem to not so much avoid me, but just kind of seem to tolerate me and won't really want to talk to me or engage in a conversation, you know? And you could just kind of feel like they're not interested. And it's like almost everybody that treated me that way, nearly. And so I start kind of reflecting on what is it about me that makes people not want to socialize with me, you know? And I'd always ask myself that question, and I could never figure it out, you know? I think as a kid, I didn't have as good social cues, you know, because I was a very expressive person. So whatever was on my mind, that's what I talked about, and I like obsessed about it. And so that probably was overbearing for a lot of people. It's my guess. But as I got older, like in high school, I had friends, you know. I was less awkward, so I guess I think I just adapted to the social norms, I suppose. Like we all do when we get older. And, but, you know, I never really hung out much with friends outside of like my neighbors. We'd hang out with, or I'd hang out with my friends, which were my neighbors. And, you know, I had a small group of friends, but still, like in high school, I didn't have any girlfriends or anything like that. Partly because I was shy, because I've gone so long now thinking that there's something wrong with me in terms of communication, or I didn't know what it was, but it seemed like there was something about me that made people not want to be around me. And so I just always assumed that no one would want to be with me. And so that's kind of just sort of accepted it in a way. But it's still really hard dealing with all your thoughts by yourself, because I never really had anybody to share my thoughts with. Like especially as a kid, like a younger kid, I'd get really excited about the things that I created, you know. I'd have so much optimism, and I'd express it to people, and they didn't really seem to see it the way that I saw it, you know. They're just like, yeah, that's cool, Nick, you know. And I always felt like the things I'm passionate about is really only just me that likes it, you know, if that makes any sense. And so I kind of just did things by myself, because I went a time where I just didn't think anyone really cared about what I did, or just cared in general. And I always was really self-critical of trying to find out what that thing was that made people turn away and be uninterested. And now that I'm an adult, it's still really hard to make friends. I have friends, but I don't hang out with very many of them, partly because of the anxiety that I have. It's hard to leave the house, things like that. That's why I mentioned to watch the previous videos, because they all kind of come together. But yeah, as I got older, you know, I went years feeling this way, and a lot of it was repressed. Like, I felt this way, but I've felt this way for so long that it just felt normal. So it didn't feel like I was lonely, but I really was. And then when I got older and got anxiety, it got a lot worse. Because, now I'm not leaving the house and stuff. And I have like no social connections. And I've always wanted, like every human being, a partner in life, but I feel like because I have so much stuff going on, that I'll end up just being a burden on the person, whoever that person is, that they'll end up leaving. And that hurts worse than the pain that I'm going through when I'm alone. And so I choose to just be alone, because when my depression hits, it hits hard. I'm gonna go in now because it's really cold and it's raining. I'll continue this once I get inside. My hair is still pretty wet. Never got a chance to dry because it's raining so much. It wasn't raining too bad, but it's kind of a cold mist. So I'm nice and warm and inside my apartment now. So yeah, as I was saying, I took rejection really difficult because it would kind of reaffirm in my mind that there is like something wrong with me, so I kind of always had sort of this negative outlook on relationships, and it's always been something that kind of weighed on me for pretty much my whole life. I've always had a really good family support, like my dad, my mom, and my brothers and sisters and stuff. But yeah, just looking back, I don't know. It's hard to think of what to say sometimes. Like now as an adult, with all the anxiety and stuff, became agoraphobic, which is basically to where my anxieties reach such a high level that it's difficult to even leave the house. Like I'll be going through a hard time, and there'll be friends, they're like coworkers and stuff that I worked with, that I'm friends with on Facebook and stuff, and they'll say, "Hey, you want to go out and hang out or something?" And I'll say, "Yeah." But then like I'll be afraid I'll have a panic attack when I'm out, because I have them so often, and having that out in public, is embarrassing and scary. So I would avoid social situations now because of my anxiety. And yeah. I think the hardest part is just that there's just so much stuff I have to go through and overcome before, at least it seems this way, before I could, find a partner. And it's really hard to admit, because it's kind of, don't want to say embarrassing, but I don't know, maybe it is a little embarrassing that I can't, I don't drive, currently unemployed because of my anxiety. Who the hell's gonna want to be with someone like that, and I know this, I'm not trying to have a pity party, although it certainly sounds like it. It's just, I feel like there's so much stuff I have to work on, because it's not just like anxiety, it's like my entire life experience I have to like you know, change and change that mindset, and it's really hard to do. It's like so much that you don't know where to start. That with the autism makes it pretty difficult. But it is a good thing though, because I think a lot of the social things that I've been dealing with that contributes to my loneliness is probably due to autism. Now, I'm still learning a lot about autism. I don't know very much about autism still. I have like a brief idea, but I'm still learning about it. And so hopefully if I come up with ways to cope, especially with the brain fog and the processing deficit, that's the biggest one, because I really do think that was the root cause of all the anxiety, because that's what kept me from doing things. And that kind of programmed my brain that certain things are dangerous. And then from there, that created a whole different mind space where anxiety just kind of branched off into, you know, all kinds of things, health anxiety, OCD, things like that. But yeah, it's just really hard that I have to kind of just endure this stuff kind of by myself. And I don't mean by myself. I have a support system, like I said, family. I have a lot of support and people, like on Facebook, friends and stuff. What I mean by loneliness is like the feeling, not necessarily being around people. Like it's more of like a being stuck and not being able to get out kind of feeling. Not so much that I don't have people who support me, because I do, and I really appreciate it. And it's helped me move forward and stay motivated. And I know these videos are really freaking depressing, but I do it because, and I say this literally in every video, because I want to be able to look back on these videos someday when I'm older. Hopefully not too old. And see all the improvement that I made. Sorry, my voice is starting to go out. So, yeah, I guess that's just kind of a brief video on how I been dealing with loneliness. Another part is, you know, I can't drive. I mentioned that already, but, you know, even if I was to hang out with somebody, I can't drive. And then if I ask them, there's a little bit of an ego thing. If I ask them for a ride, I assume that they're going to think that I'm, you know, a loser because I don't have a vehicle and I'm too afraid to drive. And so I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll just, you know, get a car and try to drive, but the anxiety, I have to fight this giant battle in my mind and go through panic attacks every time I drive. You know, like when I did drive, I think I mentioned this before in another video, I'd only go to the gas station and the store, which is literally like a half a mile away from my house. I didn't go anywhere else, just because, you know, the anxiety, it just takes over everything. And so, like, I have to unravel all this pain and stuff before I could even hope for you know, a stable relationship and more friends, because I don't get out much. And so, spend a lot of my time painting, because it's my passion for one, and also it gives me a sense of purpose, because it still feels like I'm contributing somewhat. But I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes that's even discouraging. I'm gonna be real honest, because it might sound selfish, but it's even when I like paint, I'll spend hours and hours and hours on it, and it'll just get like a few views and things like that. You know, I was hoping to get like a gallery or something going, but you know, again, I'll have to drive there. Then I'll have to face all the anxiety that comes with it. Then the learning processing, because it's all this new stuff, and I'm afraid of looking like a dumbass. Have people repeat things over and over again. And so all those things contribute to me avoiding so much stuff. And, yeah. But I think that's about it as far as what I want to share. If you made it this far, I appreciate you listening. And it would also really help if you watched, if you could just like the video. No pressure, you don't have to, but it just helps my videos get out there more to other people when you like the video. But and if you like to continue hearing my my videos, I also do art videos. That's my primary thing that I do on YouTube. I just been right now, my mental health is just my #1 priority right now. So I've been making a lot of those, but I will be returning to painting and stuff too. So if you like that kind of content and even the mental health journey, you could feel free to subscribe. I appreciate it. And you guys have a good night.